Oh, howdy all, grab yourself a beer, it's time for some Path of Exile discussion. Today, I wanted to continue a series where I've been looking at the new skills coming in 3.15 with the Expedition expansion, and giving some first impressions based upon the very limited information that we have so far on these skills, about how I might try to scale them, and what sort of excites me about the skill. So today we're going to look at a skill that left a very poor first impression, but that I have warmed up to a little bit lately, and that is Voltaxic Burst. Voltaxic Burst is loosely themed around the Trickster Ascendancy, although I actually don't think the Trickster is the way you're going to play this. I think you're going to probably play it on an Assassin or an Occultist, but the Trickster is definitely a viable option as well. So, Voltaxic Burst is a somewhat new skill mechanically. It's probably got more in common with Stormcall than anything else. So Stormcall, if you're familiar with it, it conjures a rune on the ground that explodes after a period of time when it's struck by lightning, and that deals pretty devastating damage. Voltaxic Burst borrows this delayed damage theme. However, Voltaxic Burst is a point-blank centered AoE effect. So you cast Voltaxic Burst, and it sort of builds up charges on you, and then 2.5 seconds after each time that you cast Voltaxic Burst, these detonate, dealing pretty devastating damage in a nova around you. So without further ado, let's have a quick look at this skill in action. This is a low-level character using it, and you'll get to see them standing still and charging up, then they're running into this pack. Now have a look at what happens with these monsters. You can see I've caught one in the middle of an explosion. That's because enemies that are killed by Voltaxic Burst end up exploding, dealing 6% of their life as base lightning damage, and this isn't easily scaled up. So this damage doesn't scale up, but also doesn't reflect. So here we go through. We're going to continue zooming through this area. So it's like you've got the unique chest in Pulse's Broken Heart on. Here's a higher level area that as players running through, I think it's an endgame map, and you'll see that these explosions are going off, and they're starting to kill monsters near the player as well. This player is taking an absolute beating here because they are being swarmed by monsters, but they're running reasonably fast. That's what the skill looks like in practice. So now let's talk about some of the strategies you might try to use in order to scale the damage on this. So Voltaxic Rift is a spell, AoE, Chaos, Lightning, Nova, and Duration skill, and the duration part is important. You are probably going to need to invest in decreasing the duration. The first way that comes to mind for this is less duration support. We need to check hard numbers on less duration support to decide whether it's needed or not. It may be that less duration is not the way to go. It may be that less duration just simply isn't competitive enough if it doesn't have a more multiplier on damage anymore, or if there's other changes like that. But I do think that I probably want less duration on this skill. Additionally, you are going to want to use the reduced skill duration nodes on the passive tree, and the fact that you're reducing duration on the passive tree means that a number of other gem choices that you might otherwise use as support skills lose some of their luster. So for instance, you're probably not going to want to use this in conjunction with a guard skill. You still can, it's just that you will be suffering from your guard skills being worse than they normally would be. So that's Voltaxic, that's the starting point with duration. Next we have the lightning damage. The lightning damage on this is considerable. This is a skill that is quicker to cast than Arc. It does a lot of damage, and it has effectiveness of added damage at 160%. So this is a lot more damage than a lot of other low-level skills, especially ones that hit multiple targets at once. And this was the thing that made me warm up to the skill. Initially, I was really underwhelmed by it, but the fact that you get so much damage out of it made me think, maybe I want to try this. So you have 40% of lightning damage converted to chaos damage. This is an interesting puzzle. How do you best use that? Well, the first thing I thought of was, what if we tried to convert all of our damage to chaos damage? There is a unique bow called Voltaxic Rift. A long time ago, that bow converted 100% of your lightning damage to chaos. And it was the dominant caster weapon used by a lot of lightning spellcaster builds at the time. And then Voltaxic Rift got nerfed, and it never really found a new place. It's been buffed a couple of times since, but it's never been able to find a home in the metagame since that last nerf. Well, with Voltaxic Burst, it now converts 100% of your lightning damage to chaos damage. And also Voltaxic Rift grants your chaos damage the ability to shock. So this enables a lot of interesting scaling options. So firstly, chaos damage can be made to poison. So the fact that you're converting all of this damage from lightning into chaos then enables you to convert it further to, then scale it further through poison. That's one option that you've got. You can do that on a range of ascendancies now. Previously, I would have said that just the fact that you want to scale chaos damage through poison means you must be an assassin. That's no longer the case because of the other changes that were made in the Balance Manifesto, where they've nerfed assassin poison somewhat, but they've buffed basically any other poison ascendancy has been buffed up to compensate for that. And I think it's now viable to play a Voltaxic Burst, Voltaxic Rift character as any ascendancy that you want. I think the Occultist is probably one of your better choices though, as is the, just for the nearby enemies have 20% reduced chaos resistance, but it's not the only one. You can play it as an assassin, you can play it as a trickster, you could probably even play it as a raider for the speed. So lots of different options there. Additionally, you have those explosions. There's a lot of limitations to how much you can scale those explosions. You'll notice the explosions of the corpses are not affected by modifiers to spell damage. So that's going to be something that will be hard to scale, but they're going to be meaningful anyway. And so I think they'll be really, really strong. So the other thing that comes to mind with this skill is using it as a cast on critical strike payload or as a Mjolnir payload. So one of the things that's really good with this skill is the fact that it has it is a lightning skill that just does a lot of damage. And there's a number of things that you can do, like use Cast on Critical Strike to proc this a few times, then run into the middle of a pack of monsters. So you could hit, let's say that you've got Cast on Critical Strike, you're able to proc that 5 times in a second, then you run into a pack of monsters and boom, 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 all your Voltaxic bursts go off on that pack. You kill a couple of the weaker ones, and that then starts corpse explosions going. That's going to do that's going to cause a lot of havoc to a dense pack of monsters. So if you wanted to go down that route, you would want to use some sort of fast-hitting bow skill like Barrage. Then you would want to link that to Cast on Critical Strikes. Then you would want to link that to Voltaxic Burst, and then 3 support gems that amp up Voltaxic Burst. You could conceivably do this in a Shaper Bow that has socketed gems as supported by Cast on Critical Strike, or you could do it in Voltaxic Rift and combine the best of both of the worlds we've been talking about. So that's one of your options that you've got there, is the Assassin option. And then the other option that you've got, and I'm less sure about this being good, but I do want to raise it as an option anyway, is to look at some sort of multiple conversions approach. So lightning damage can be converted to cold damage through the use of the unique ring Call of the Brotherhood. Normally, builds that want to use Call of the Brotherhood need to use 2 of them, but on a Voltaxic Burst build, you only really need to use 1. You're then doing 40% conversion away from lightning with directly to chaos, and then 48% converted to cold damage. And then at that point, you can further convert that cold damage if you want, and this can then allow you to get multiple times the value from the Atziri's Promise unique flask, as well as from the Trickster Ascendancy node. I think it's called Harness the Void, the one that causes your hits to deal extra chaos damage sometimes. So that'd be another option that you've got. There's a lot of sort of shenanigans you can go through, and this is going to be a hard skill to optimize, but I think a pretty easy skill to play. So those are my thoughts on Voltaxic Burst. I am curious to hear what your thoughts are as well. Is this something that you're still uninterested in because of the awkward playstyle? Is it something that the high damage numbers have won you around on? Let me know your comments below. And just so that you can have a bit of an idea as to what I'll be doing on this channel over the next couple of days, I will be live streaming my thoughts about the patch notes tomorrow on Twitch. Then after that, I will be returning to YouTube and putting a summary up. The same thing I did today with the Balance Manifesto. After that, I think we're going to be at that point where we can start doing some build theory crafting. I'll be doing some build theory crafting sessions, probably on Twitch, but maybe here as well as streams. And then once I've got sort of some finished outlines for builds, for starter builds, I'll be posting build guides up on YouTube. Finally, when we get to Friday, my time, so Thursday if you're American, the torrent will go up, and at that point, people who do data mining will get to work. That is when I will start doing some look at some live streaming of discussion of all of the data mined and leaked mods, and then putting up together some sort of summary as well. So that's what's coming in the next couple of days, but I hope you enjoy 3.15 as much as I'm hoping I will, and may your Valobs have interesting results.